Embark on the JoJo journey, where laughter meets life, adventure unfolds, and the essence of who you are comes alive. I'm Javon Baker, and you're watching JoJo Talk. Today, I have a special guest here who's an entrepreneur, a social media content creator, a man of God, and someone I call friend. Please help me welcome the one and only Tucker Higgins. Tucker, thank you for joining JoJo Talk today. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's a good day to be here. So,
As Pastor always says, how is it with your soul?
My soul is at peace.
I like that. So I want to start off with the fact that I have known you since we were kids. There is an age difference, but I have known you for a long time. But it has only been in the last, I would say, 12 months that I feel like I can actually call you a friend. We've gotten to get really close. He's a phenomenal cook. He can make phenomenal drinks. He also motivates, checks on you, and the true definition of a friend. And while going through this interview, I think you'll feel the same way. Tucker, you are an entrepreneur. What does that mean for you?
Entrepreneur for me means that I'm somebody who took their talents and turned them into freedom. So an entrepreneur is someone who has businesses, side hustle things where they're in control and in charge. Because as you know, we live in a society where you can get a job, you can have that job for 30, 40 years with nothing to show for it.
Creating a startup is not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun half the time, but it's rewarding. Even though you have all the jobs and wear all the hats, you've done all the work to make it happen.
So at what point in your life did you say, hey, I want to step out on faith and become an entrepreneur?
It was, ironically for me, it started when the pandemic happened because I was in 12th grade at that time. And
He's a baby.
exactly, I'm a youngin', but I know some things. Mind your business.
But it happened then because I was stuck at the house. We couldn't leave. We couldn't do anything. And I've been messing and playing with websites since I was like in 6th grade. And so I had a lot of people reach out to me who knew me and they were like, hey, I have a business. We need to go online like immediately so we can continue to function. And they start asking me to do it. And it started as a hobby. Even then, when people offered to pay me, I never thought entrepreneurship. I never thought I could turn this into a business. That was just like, okay, this is a side hustle.
Something you can do.
Exactly. And it was after that when I started really seeing some of the numbers and really being on TikTok, just like scrolling and seeing an entrepreneur. Her name is Sierra Nicole. She had just started her journey. And she was talking about the difference in the mindset she had to change herself into to really succeed. And then I'm like, I can do this.
Well, let's walk through it. My first business was Capital Communications HSB. That was the...
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
It started, to say the least, with Capital Communications HSB.
Capital Communications.
HSB.
Okay.
That was my first business, and I started that when I was 18. That was doing websites, and that was primarily what I was doing because that was what my experience was in. But quickly I started taking on the task of social media where people would ask me, hey, can you run this for me? You know how to make the content already? And I'm like, I'll give it a shot. Even then, I didn't see content as something for me to do. It was something fun for me to do for them, to surprise them and say, hey, you got all these followers because of this, that, or the other. But then that transitioned into me doing other things. And then the next business was me doing Shopify stuff. Like, everyone's heard of Shopify. It's a great way to start businesses and not have a lot of money invested. So for those new people who are really trying to do it, but not be so spending all their money on it, because don't be like me. But that was where I started with Luxe Interiors, and then a few other brands I was testing because I knew I wanted to do something with it. But I said, I'm just going to throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and we're going to see what sticks.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about, you have a passion for cars, and so you got into Turo?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about Turo.
My passion for cars was always a thing since I was a kid. I've always loved cars.
This is his baby, by the way. This is his baby right here.
It is. My first 3 jobs were literally at car dealerships. So I was around expensive, nice, new cars all the time, driving them, doing this. So I was looking at business opportunities. I was ready to expand and do something different. And I'm like, what can I do that's going to get me around these cars? You know? And then I ran into Turo. And I decided, you know what? I can rent cars here. I can turn it into a legit business. I can build a fleet based off of cars I like.
Okay.
And there are enthusiasts here around me, so they would rent them. So I started, and I think at the beginning, when I started, I had one car, and it was a 2017 Audi A4. I can tell you why you can do that and why you shouldn't do that later. But I did that because I thought it was big balling, shot calling. But it was a great entry level.
I don't know anybody under the age of 21 that's driving an Audi. I personally don't know anybody. I'm sure there are people that do it. I just don't know anybody who was driving an Audi under the age of 21. And if this is 2017, he was also under the age of 20. Okay. Tucker, what is the hardest part about being an entrepreneur? And not just an entrepreneur in general, but a young entrepreneur, as well as you are also a young person in general. What are the struggles that you have experienced or that you see?
That's a great question, so I got to answer it in two parts. The struggle as a young entrepreneur, the big things you have to worry about is being taken seriously. Because a lot of adults, a lot of people see that you don't know what you're doing because of your age, and that's a huge disparity you have to deal with. Then it's the fact that it's money. It's options out there for older people, especially to get funding faster. So you really have to learn how to hustle and grind to get any money when it comes to your business, and then traction to put it out there.
Keyword, hustle and grind.
Absolutely. And when it comes to being a young person in that space, it's very few of us trying to be entrepreneurs. It's very few of us putting ourselves out there and really saying, you know what, I'm going to focus on this. Because one thing that happened immediately for me was a mindset change. So I couldn't go out with my friends doing all this and this because I'm either saving money or working overtime to put money into the business. It was one of those situations where I had to really focus on that as a priority in other people and other things that as a secondary, if that makes sense.
It does.
Here are some tips on how to be taken seriously as a young entrepreneur. Number one is be passionate. Show that passion for your business. When people see you're serious and you have a part of yourself into this, they are way more likely to follow and support you. Number two, have a plan. Create a business plan, a layout for your business, how it works, how it functions, what are some of your goals in the future. Put it all to paper. But you also need to be able to explain your business to anybody who asks you questions. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just make it short, sweet, and to the point. And number three, know your strengths and weaknesses. Know what you're good at, what you're bad at, and learn how to turn those into assets to your business. You aren't going to be able to do everything, and it's just that simple. But learning what you can do is going to eliminate a lot of concerns.
A couple of quotes here that you said. And by a couple, I mean a lot. Because I went down the rabbit hole of your social media. And so the first thing I saw, well, not the first thing, but just dealing with you being an entrepreneur says, as an entrepreneur, be careful with what you hear. Not everybody that is commenting on your business has the knowledge to know about your business. What's that mean to you?
What that means to me is I ran into a situation, especially in my life, where a lot of people were commenting, what are you doing? You don't know what you're doing, or you should do X, Y, and Z. And at first you're thinking as a young person, you're taking it as advice. But then as you mature, you're starting to realize these people never run a business. They never started a business. They only work for people who own businesses in whole different sectors.
It's basically trying to say you're going to the doctor, but you really go to the pharmacist. It's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing. It's completely not the same thing.
Exactly.
I think a lot of us get confused when we go to the pharmacy and say, hey, I have a headache. And they're like, okay, let me prescribe this.
Right.
And then you find out later that you have a chronic headache and there's probably something you need to see a doctor for.
Exactly.
So keep that in mind. Okay, so I went down your TikTok rabbit hole. I have no idea how he posts a video every other day for 365 days of the year. Because again, he started in November of 2021. So my first question is, your first video, what was that like for you? Being someone who now motivates people to just start, what was your motivation? You had mentioned a young lady about entrepreneurship, but you were stepping out into the social media world, which is completely different. So what was that like for you making your first video?
This is a shout out to those under 20 entrepreneurs joining the club. It's hard, it's difficult, it's challenging, but you made the first step, therefore you're gonna make it. You might be a little scared, but fear is a good starter.
First off, it was nerve-wracking, and that video alone took me 30 minutes to make because I was sweating bullets. I was so scared because at that point I was so insecure, and I can say that. I didn't like my voice, I didn't like the way I talked, I didn't like the way I presented. And I did it because I was taking classes on how to build businesses, how to learn how to leverage that. And a huge part of that was putting yourself on social media because a closed mouth doesn't get fed. And so
Period.
I had to do that, but at the same time, I wasn't quite happy with it or comfortable with it.
Is that why your first couple of videos are filmed indoors in a room, in a tiny little space, just like this big? The shot was like this. Audio was crap. Lighting was
Crap.
And yeah, but then I see that as you progressed with your videos, you started filming outdoors. You did a lot of car videos. I found you in a hallway, and then on top of a parking garage.
Absolutely.
So what's your preference when you are recording your content?
On a pretty perfect day, I prefer to be out there in the parking garage on top of Bridge Street. Y'all know where it's at. Because it's a very freeing space. It gives me some mobility. It gives me some, like, you can catch my emotions.
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. If y'all don't quit begging people to stay in your life, yes, I said it. I called you out. Somebody right here, right now, is texting somebody and watching this TikTok about, baby, please don't leave me. Hell no, leave. The door is that way. Walk out. In fact, lay them a red carpet. Open the door like a gentleman. Say, let me help you pack your stuff. Because the reason you can't move on in your life is because you won't move up and let this person go. Let me break this down. Let that person go because they're not the right person for you. If somebody wants to leave, let them out. If they want to leave, let them go. Because God will put somebody else in their place who is better and who is more equipped to deal with you and where you are in your life. But you can never get to that good person because you won't let go of the bad person.
But what's comfortable to me is like the car conversations, and here's why. A lot of people have said it really feels like that Big Brother moment has kicked in because for them, it's like someone just sending them a video or FaceTiming.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to create that comfortable atmosphere.
God is giving some of y'all gifts, but y'all keep putting them back on layaway, and I'm trying to understand why. Somebody on this video who is watching is great at speaking. Somebody who is watching this video is a great musician. Somebody who is listening to this video has got some calling on their life where they have such a specialized skill that they are so good at it, no one else can beat them. But you know what you keep doing? You keep getting scared of what people are going to say about you. You keep getting worried about what the world's going to think of you. You keep getting worried about all the things that are in your way, all the obstacles Satan continues to bring. But you keep putting that gift on layaway because you're like, you know what? I don't want them problems. But what you don't understand is there's no problems when God is on your side because he will provide you all the solutions. I'm here to tell you whatever it is, whatever your gift, your talent, pull it out of storage, take it out of layaway, and do something with it. Because I promise you, God is going to bless you when you start trying to bless him back with the gifts that he's giving you. But you got to start somewhere. You got to get those gifts out. You got to dust off your voice. You got to clean up your instruments. You got to get your speaking act ready, get your fits ready, get your vibe ready so you can stand tall and walk in the world and say, I am a child of God. I am not ashamed of it, and I got gifts and talents for him to improve this world, to help people to come know and love him. Amen.
Let your business be your story. You said learn to tell your story. People buy into your story. They want to get to know you as a person. So I can say personally from doing my pilot episode before this, where I said embark on the JoJo journey. It will be about myself and me and sharing my story. All of that I got from you. So is that what you want people to look at?
Absolutely, because everybody, let's for instance take water. You can go to any grocery store and there's like 100 different things of water being sold.
But it's all the same, but it's how they branded it. And a lot of us don't realize the value in our stories. No one's going to buy certain things from you if they don't think you've been through anything or you're qualified. I like to put it this way. God qualifies you for everything in your life and coming into your life through the things he's put you through. But a lot of us are too scared to do that.
For me, at 18, I didn't know anything. That's the truthful part of it. I didn't know how to start a business, how to run. I didn't know I was even motivating people. I was just, let me make some content, let me put it out there. It was no real direction because at that point, my life had no direction.
Ooh.
Like,
Wait, wow.
I can say this. I was in a lost place and I didn't realize I had been lost for so long. So this sort of routed me back on track because it required me to look at myself before I could tell other people what to do.